painful parts might end up coming at the end of the story, even if he thinks that those are the exalted parts. And sort of grapple with his pain and identify with his pain and root around in his pain, but ultimately try to retell it in a way that helps him out of it and helps us out of it. So I would say that would be one heuristic I would recommend. Just what are the pieces that are problematic, and how can you provide those pieces with frameworks that help us process it in a constructive way?
Comments, questions? Samuel.
I'm curious what drew each of you to study this person's novel and translate it.
Well, you go first.
Nachman, it was this like weird existential pivot for me. I was working on a PhD in grad school, and it's just strange that you brought up. I was doing a lot of sort of history of psychoanalysis, and I was doing comp lit, and took a class on Hasidic literature, and read this Nachman tale about, which we'll read, about someone who was sort of caught in the wrong identity. And the tale is about a journey of sort of abandoning that identity and figuring out how to reconstruct something that feels more authentic. And in a lot of ways, that's how my path diverted from PhD in comparative literature to the
So, Jordan is brought to you by Reb Nachman. It's brought to Hebrew College by Reb Nachman. So for me, he was the only one who understood the absence of God, and I was experiencing the absence of God. And to find a Hasidic master who somehow was willing to confront that, was willing to say, yes, there are times in life when God simply isn't there. And having grown up with lots of challenge around the Holocaust, around personal loss, and so on, I knew that place, and was seeking to find a Judaism that would embrace it and accept it and help me transform it, help me overcome it. And Nachman seemed to have that. I knew I did not want to be his disciple, and I knew I wanted to be close to him, so I became his biographer. I couldn't quite join the Breslov Hasidim because I found something unhealthy there. I found a certain obsession with, you're going to overcome all your sins, but therefore you're spending so much time worrying about what your sins are that you're going to overcome, that in fact I found it oppressively guilt-producing, and didn't like it. Didn't like the kind of, in other words, this is a salvation for people who were so overwhelmed by sin. I wasn't so overwhelmed by sin and didn't want to go there, didn't want to go on that trip. And so I couldn't join the disciples. But yet the figure of Nachman himself seemed like an utterly fascinating figure, partly because of that question of absence of God, and then I began reading the stories too, and understood this is a person with tremendous psychological insight. And so my way of being close to him was being biographer.
Is your biography as objective as you thought it was when you began?
When I published it in Hebrew, there was a nasty review by a scholar, well-known scholar named Mendel Piakaj, who said he likes Nachman too much. You can't write a critical biography if you like your subject so much. So was I over-identifying with Nachman is the question I have to ask. And I think there is a little bit of that. I think there is some of that. I was young, and I think in some ways there's an enthusiasm about it, and I saw Nachman through a particular set of glasses. The book, as I say, the book is being reprinted now. The book is considered, you should pardon the expression, a classic in modern Hebrew scholarship. And so now it's being reprinted with a new set of footnotes, updating of the footnotes, but the leading scholar of Nachman today says the book is still, the essential biography still holds. So it's been treated very well by the scholarly community. Lots of things have been added, of course. New texts have been found, and all kinds of Mark's work especially is wonderful. He's written 3 or 4 books on Nachman since I wrote my book, and they're particular aspects of Nachman's thought. A whole book on mysticism and madness in Nachman. A book where these secret documents I mentioned, the Breslov Hasidim kept hidden for 200 years, he has now published. They trusted him. What happened was that various sects of Breslov were so angry at one another, each one was afraid that somebody from the other sect would publish them and do damage. They gave them to him and he published them. So now we know about Nachman's messianic dreams because we have texts that were never available until now. So they're absolutely fascinating things. The connection between Nachman and secret Sabbatians, secret Frankists, believers in Shabtai Tzvi or believers in Jacob Frank, who were still around at the time of Nachman. Apparently there is some, if not influence, at least some close parallels between some of Nachman's fantasies and some of the Frankist fantasies, which is quite a surprise. And I had sort of pointed at that possibility, but I didn't have any evidence of it. But a lot more evidence of that. So a lot of work has been done on Nachman since my time. But with that exception of maybe saying I was over-identifying a little bit, I think the biography still holds. Yeah. Okay, I think it's time to wind up for the evening. For next week, next Thursday night, please read the first tale, which is The Loss of the Princess, and the first half I think I assigned of the chapter of my second excursus, the excursus on the tales in Tormented Master. We'll talk about the excursus first, and then we'll spend most of our time on the Lost Princess. Okay, see you next week. Thank you.